What up, G?
What's happening, man?
Good to see
How's
you again.
things?
Things are good. We're just out here trying to figure out the future.
As you do
As we
every
do.
day
As
at
we
11
do.
a.m.
I, yeah, sometimes closer, sometimes further away. I don't know, man. Sometimes I listen to myself on this afterwards and I'm like, what the fuck was I saying? So, and
Doing
yet
it
we
for the people,
continue.
though. The
Yeah, we
voice of the
continue.
people. I love it.
I don't know, dude. Sometimes, yes, I think Peace Node, who, makes us look good and is a gem of a human being, he just
Yeah.
was like, maybe you just don't need to take yourself so seriously. And I was like, wait a minute. I didn't think, was I taking myself too, maybe I'm taking myself too seriously. I don't identify as somebody who takes myself too seriously, but I can fall into that trap sometimes, I think. So
I think we all can.
I'm trying to build some chill, some vibe to this. And I'm interested, so I think we talked months ago. I think you're one of our earliest guests, and thank you for that. And then I saw some news come out of the Clankermon world, launching an app chain. So maybe can you level set, just remind people what you've been working on, and then introduce this new move you've just made.
Yeah, for sure. So for the last year and a half, we've just been messing about on Firecaster, experimenting with everything at the intersection of crypto, AI, and open social. And Clankermon is a very rare case because it's one of those cases where it wasn't a big plan. We didn't spend months figuring out what it was going to be and go ahead and do it. Clankermon actually started off as a token first and had very many different ideas that it could have gone down. And we just kind of messed about in public, built it completely in public, which is why we kind of have a chapter based rollout where every chapter we kind of uproot everything that was there before, and it has all new dynamics, all new mechanics. We're also a very rare Uno reverse in the crypto space because most apps become trading apps. We started off as a trading app that became a different kind of app. So that's kind of where we've been. When we launched it first, it was very much a trading app with like a gamified loop, Tamagotchi type characters. And what we've seen after the first couple of weeks, we did like 1 million in volume right away, showing the incentives to show you the outcome. But that 1 million in volume was mainly just players trading the same capital to level up. And the majority of people coming back on a daily basis were actually just coming back for this Tamagotchi style character game that they had to look after this pet for every day. So after kind of looking back and forth at where we could go from there, we're like, one part of this is actually engaging people, and the other half is just farming very insignificant amount of trading fees and isn't offering any kind of new experience to people. It's pretty much just offering another mediocre trading experience. So we didn't want to do that. So what we've been doing this year is we've been working towards the new game mechanics. And basically, Clankermon is a crypto creature collect RPG that you can play today on Firecaster or Base. It's a game where you assemble, breed, and train a team of monsters. Unique twist here is the monsters are actually based on crypto coins. So you've got a better mon, you've got a nice mon. If you're a privacy enjoyer who's having a very good day today, you've got a Veil mon in there.
I am not, but
yeah, well, there's plenty out there. So shout out Apex, shout out Veil, shout out everything happening with privacy right now. But yeah, Veil's up 100%. So today in game, if you have a Veilmon, it's twice as powerful. It's twice as rare.
Okay, so the game dynamics are tied to the price of the token that you base your character on.
Yeah. So their power and their mechanics. So it's very crypto. Like you will get a lot of stuff in there if you're into crypto. But in order to actually play the game and engage with it on a daily basis, you're engaging with these tokens, but these tokens in a very cute form. Like part of the design goal with it was to kind of pudgy penguin all of these different tokens into somewhat of a cohesive game world and have them kind of interact and build these storylines and unique experiences that kind of mirror the culture that they came from. So that's part of what's going on there.
Okay, so the two threads I want to go down. One, but I guess maybe just to jump right. So you've been developing in sort of the mini app land, and I think we've talked a bunch about mini apps, and my sense is that, and I think in our past conversation there was sort of like there's a a small, fervent participant group that likes to play in these things. I mean, obviously, it's a smaller network generally, and so there's some limitations on the number of people that are to start with. But the thesis really is if you go, maybe you don't need to go reach 1 million people. You just need to get a real deep believer game player to actually have a good business here. And so I think a lot of the times we sort of think through like, okay, well, where's the next big leg up? And often through the lens of distribution, right? Like how do we go maybe break into new audiences, into new distribution sets? And so it's interesting to me to see that you are stepping into more of an infrastructure type of phase here, or at least, the idea of an app chain sort of taking precedence over thinking about how to go and maybe scale or reach larger numbers of users.
Yeah, great point. I think this current play is very much a needs must kind of situation.
Okay.
Where when we launched the latest version at the end of August, all the numbers went up. Some of them were great numbers to go up. Other ones were very bad numbers to go up.
What are the bad numbers?
Many of which we're now got under control. Our infrastructure bills went crazy. Everything upgraded us to like enterprise overnight. Suddenly, something you paid $40 for was $2,000. They're all the realities that come with the scale and the distribution and these breakout moments that everyone's looking for. But I don't think the majority of crypto apps, I don't even think the chains or any of the layers today are like fully able for the scale and breakout in the way that we would want or like them to be. Now, they're great for certain things, and for value transfer, obviously that is a priority and should be given priority in Black space. But when you have someone like us come along and we're building something incredibly on-chain that uses all the aspects that crypto can unlock as kind of a game design mechanic, that's very noisy block space consumption happening. That we and anybody who builds an app as insanely on-chain as we are trying to do should realistically end up on an app chain. And a big part of that is with people like Syndicate. You get to bring a new level of programmability to these app chains, which actually just makes it a more expanded design space as opposed to.
Yeah, I find this interesting because we had Ian and Will on around their token launch, and one of the questions that I had asked, and I think still remains, is just like, ultimately, what is the business here? Like the business is ultimately based on the idea that more people are going to have the problem that you are articulating here, that we're still not doing all the things that we might want to do or desire to do or could possibly done on chain. As you start to go do more of that, most people are just ignorant of the scaling costs, the infrastructure costs, et cetera, and that it ultimately creates a business case for running your own infrastructure. And I think we had come through this era where most of the case for running your own infrastructure was actually, I would say, a token valuation case. The idea that an L2 is more valuable or an L3 would be more valuable. And I think we saw the speed runs of those narratives over the last, say, 18 months. And then when you talk to Ian and Will or Syndicate, they're like, this is just a practical challenge people are going to need to go solve. And then there's also all these benefits that come on the other side from being able to actually control more of the economic flows that come through it. But I think it is all in the backdrop right now where most people are like, fuck it, L2s, L3s, like that's not hot. That's not privacy. That's not a new token launchpad. That's not a DEX for perps. So yeah, maybe I'm curious, what does this ultimately unlock for you beyond cost savings?
The biggest thing for us is one, that it doesn't cost users more than it should cost to play the game, or it doesn't cost us more than we make in revenue to operate the game.
Important.
So that's one absolute critical business case. And then the second one is, I think, where we're getting to with a lot of the infrastructure in the space and all the things that you can plug into and services that you can play with now. The idea of building another chain is not the same as it was a year ago or 2 years ago.
Right.
You can now build these app chains in a way where they're so tightly coupled to the parent chain that it's just this like server that things can run on, but everything can still feed back into the parent chain.
because the integrations were really
So
the sort of
super
hidden
important.
challenge and cost from like, the early spin up an L, you can spin up an L2 as fast as you can spin up an Amazon instance. And then people are like,
Yeah.
well, okay, well now you need Block Explorer, you need integrations with DEXs, yada, yada, and all that stuff kind of here. So Syndicate has solved a bunch of that stuff for you?
And the space at large has kind of solved that
Okay.
for itself. Everything's become a lot more plug and play. With Syndicate, the main new thing is that you get to move your sequencer rules on chain as well and have them operate as smart contracts. I think what Syndicate is doing generally with the play and the ecosystem play is absolutely critical and desperately needed, because we are going to scale everything with Ethereum. It is going to happen, but it's going to take time. And we're at a point where we're hitting very hard ceilings. And the solutions to these hard ceilings come months, if not years apart. So in December, we're going to get another big upgrade. Gas is going to get cheap again. This is going to look like a bad idea for all of 2 weeks. And then everyone's going to be considering app chains again and looking at the same problem. And this cycle is going to repeat for 2 or 3 years before we reach any kind of critical scale at the very most fundamental technology level to actually enable use cases that you can only do on app chains today.
So I love talking to you because I always get the sense that you have a big vision and are a deep believer. And I think that last statement is a prime example of that. And I think, mini apps in general, new social networks in general, I think Clankermon's an example of this as well, where, if you're just a general internet user, it's maybe not obvious that there's something big happening here, right? I think tokens at $1 million, it's been higher, it's been lower. There's a core group of people are playing, but you kind of need to be in a little segment of the world to really get it. But every time I talk to you, I see more of the long-term view here, and it's a good reminder to, follow smart, passionate, interesting people early. Because
there's so many of them in crypto. There's so many of them to find. Yeah. They're here.
All right, man. I'm going to leave it there. I think I want to check in with you in a bit because every time I talk to Will and Ian, I'm like, okay, I'm on board. And then I sort of pull my head out of that world and I see just kind of where the energy is and where founders are talking about. And I go, okay, is this really going to happen? And anyways, that dissonance in my brain is very interesting to me. So is this live yet? Or like, what is sort of the next push that you're working towards?
So we're currently have onboarding halted again. I remember last time we were here, we had onboarding halted as well. Classic. For a different reason. But we're hard at work getting everything live on the app chain, getting all the infrastructure in place to move all the game over anytime in the next week or two. But in the meantime, follow me, follow Clankermon, catch us on Firecaster, and when the gates are open and we're ready to go with this app chain and go for the scale that we got a taste of a month ago, we'll be very loud about it. So
let us know. I'll go and see if I can get that 11 a.m. on rocking and rolling.
Yeah,
all right. That's Matthew Fox AF on Twitter, or Clankermon on Twitter as well, also on Farcaster. Awesome to check in with you, man, and I wish you huge success as you try to take the next big swing.
Pleasure, man. All the best.
Cheers.
Thank you.